Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I've made some very major changes to my portfolio and it's been very profitable as I now am over $600,000. Now I've struggled since the beginning of the year, since I went up about a half a million, and then I've just stayed there for like a couple of months. Wow, that was getting pretty depressing, but somehow I managed through it. And it's been artificial intelligence that's done it. And when I've gotten off course, that's where I've stalled out. And when I've gotten back into artificial intelligence, that's when it's taken off again. The CPI came in not so bad. There was no month-on-month increase on the headline CPI, the Consumer Price Index number. So that was good. After that, we got even better news on Friday on the Producer Price Index. Now, the Producer Price Index actually went down by 0.2%. It was expected to go up by 0.1%. And it measures goods and services, but the big decrease was in the goods side of it. The goods went down 0.8%. That's getting pretty close to 1% in a month. Applications for unemployment insurance reached 242,000 on Friday, which is the highest level of unemployment insurance applications we've seen, or claims that we've seen, since August of 2023. So we got the Producer Price Index. The goods prices especially are going down. That eventually will translate into the CPI. And so deflation is starting to occur. Various media have been going on about how you should buy small stocks to broaden out your portfolio. And that has been so wrong. You need not worry about that until they actually start cutting interest rates, and then only if they start doing it gradually. If they do it all at once and do massive cuts, that means it's because the economy's failing, and that will be a disaster. Right now, having it gradually come down, this is the Goldilocks scenario. You are in the Goldilocks scenario. And the big companies that have lots of cash, they have been benefiting the most. But the number one factor is artificial intelligence. The reason the small stocks will not keep up is because they do not use artificial intelligence as much as these big stocks like the Magnificent Sevens. They both use it and create it. They're benefiting on both ends of the situation. And this will be the investment of a decade at least, if not further on. We're predicted to reach super intelligence in 10 years. We don't even know what the world's going to look like in 10 years. Super intelligence, they say that could be the equivalent of having 100 million very bright scientists working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on doing research to find answers to the various problems we have in the world. It will be unbelievable. Adobe, stock symbol ADBE, went up 15% on Friday after it reported earnings the previous day after the market closed. And it credited it all to artificial intelligence. Nvidia has made 45% in the last month, which should scare me, right? But it doesn't. I've watched this stock ever since it started to be over 400, and I had 1,000 shares at one point. So holding 300 shares seems just kind of reasonable to me right now. Looking at the chart, you can see that it is fully valued. Its relative strength is 80. and it's at the top of its Bollinger Bands. So you wouldn't expect it to, surge forward much more, but you just never know with Nvidia. The artificial intelligence is developing so fast. If this were a normal stock, we would expect a period of consolidation where it goes sideways for a while, just because the gains have been so massive. But we've been saying that for the last year, and it just keeps going forward. So I think it's wrong to be skeptical on this stock, and this is another buy the dip stock in my estimation. And then there's Broadcom, symbol AVGO, which it has just blasted forward after it announced earnings on Thursday. Since Thursday on Broadcom, I've made $55,000. Okay, in the last week, I've made $55,000 on Broadcom. I've made about $25,000 to $30,000 on Nvidia. These are like massive stock gains, and you don't get to experience this often. But I think it's going to continue just because artificial intelligence is so wild. And looking at the chart, you can see that it's barreled past its upper Bollinger Band. It's basically out of control. Its relative strength is 82, which is overbought, but it just keeps going up. So this is definitely a buy the dip kind of stock. I would buy the dip if it dips before June 15th. If it doesn't dip and it just goes sideways, I'm going to wait till after the 10-for-1 split and buy another 100 shares. Or at that point, it'll be 1,000 shares because it's a 10-for-1 split. So I'll have a total of 3,000 shares, just like I have of Nvidia. And these are two grand stocks to own, in my opinion. And then Adobe. In my world, I like to own the bigger stocks. They're just more safe at this point, I believe. But Adobe was significant simply because of the massive jump it did on Friday. And I think it shows how the artificial intelligence is spreading out to almost all areas of technology. And looking at the chart on Adobe, ADBE, you can see that it blasted above its Bollinger Band, of course, the upper bounds on Friday. And it has a relative strength of 71, which is good. It indicates that it's not overbought yet. I don't think this is as exciting a stock. It's an okay stock that you would buy it based on its future prospects, which is why they put a lot of emphasis on their forecast. And I think their price to earnings is reasonable at 29 for a technology company, and their earnings growth rate of 16% is okay and is probably going to be massively better in the future. So this is one for the future. It's something I would keep an eye on. I'm not necessarily buying right now. I'm just into the hotter AI stocks right now. And so my main thought is, you don't stop your horse from running when you're winning the race because you're afraid that it might get too tired. Okay, I think these stocks have a long ways to run. I think they're the investment of the decade, if not the century, but we shall see. Thanks for watching.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be.